Ads and Sales, a study of advertising and selling from the standpoint of the new principles of scientific management by Herbert Newton Casson. Chapter 9, Part 1. An Analysis of Current Advertising. When the principles of efficiency are applied to factory or railroad, they reveal striking differences between men and materials and conditions. One file, for example, is bound to do 6 times as many strokes as another file. One belt will require 1/5 as much repairing as another belt. One man is doing 1/10 as much work as another man, although both receive the same wages. Roughly speaking, efficiency is an exploration to discover the best, and when we turn the searchlight on, we will find everywhere a jumble of good, bad, and indifferent. We are at once shaken out of the habit of thinking that a man is a man, a chisel is a chisel, an advertisement is an advertisement, and the aim of every efficient manager, when once he has discovered the actual conditions of his business, is to develop the good, instruct the indifferent, and lop off the bad. After an all-summer study of more than 8,000 advertisements taken from weekly and monthly magazines, I have found that they fall naturally into 25 or more varieties. Some of these varieties are certainly good, some are certainly bad, and most of them are certainly indifferent. Some were easily worth several times their cost, and others must have been done a positive injury to the business they were supposed to help. My general impression, after this prolonged study, is that the 2 basic faults of advertisements are the 2 that are perhaps the basic faults of the human race itself: laziness and conceit. The lazy advertisement is the one that is dashed off without study or plan or hard work, and the conceited advertisement is the one that is not designed to attract the public, but to please the advertiser himself, his wife, and his poor relations. Some advertisements are both lazy and conceited. Here, for example, is the general plan of hundreds of advertisements that actually appear in national magazines. Many sellers regard it as the normal type and pay immense sums to have it displayed. It is the simplest, crudest, easiest, and worst variety of advertisement. It has no possible interest for anybody except the John Smith family. In a small community where everybody knows John Smith, it is effective to a small degree, as we can easily excuse the egoism of our own acquaintances. But as a form of national advertising, it is, of course, absurd. It may be said to represent the Stone Age of advertising. John Smith makes the best shoes in the world. John Smith can fit anybody. John Smith buys the best materials. John Smith sells at the lowest prices. Buy your shoes from John Smith and from nobody else. Another general impression that remains after the study of this mass of advertising is that the artwork is superior to the copy. The pictures are apparently drawn by professionals, while the writing is done by amateurs. Many advertisers seem to think that anything is good enough for the body of the advertisement as long as the headline or the illustration is clever and effective. The result of this disharmony is that it creates advertisements that attract but do not convince, like a store that has finely dressed show windows but which is dark and dirty inside. These advertisements are apt to catch the eye, but not the trade, of the passing public. The names, or rather nicknames, that I have chosen to describe the various types of advertisement may be improved from many points of view. I have chosen these for the reason that they will be easily remembered. They are as follows. The bellwether advertisement. This is one of the oldest types and one of the most permanent and successful. In the patent medicine business it was overdone, and it was not always used honestly. Eminent men were paid for the use of their names. Also, some eminent men became so fond of seeing their names in print that they recommended too many articles. This has made the public somewhat wary of the testimonial, and it must never be used except from some well-known person in whom the public has entire confidence. The mass of people love to follow a bellwether, but for your own sake you must be careful in the selection of bellwethers. When McCormick launched his reaper, his first advertisements were of this testimonial type. A farmer who had bought a reaper wrote to him and said, "My reaper has more than paid for itself in one harvest." McCormick at once seized upon this phrase and made it the text of his advertising. Usually it has been found that when a new invention is offered for sale, it is greatly helped if some well-known people will stand as its godfathers. The public distrusts what it does not know and demands a background of familiar names. Examples of the bellwether advertisements are Bob Berman, after a 141 miles an hour race, recommended Polari. Detective Burns recommending Savage revolvers. Weston, after a cross-continent walk, recommended heel and toe walking socks. Evanston Public Library installs pianola and lending library of music rolls. A farmer testifies to crop of apples, $1,400 worth, from 1 3/5 acres on land in Union Pacific Railroad region. The first 3 of these advertisements may be rated as first class. Men who stand at the top of their professions recommend articles which they are competent to judge. The men are well known, they are the highest character, and by many are regarded as popular heroes. Every auto racer respects Berman. Every detective honors Burns. Every long-distance walker imitates Weston. The fourth of these examples is second class only. The Evanston Public Library is not famous. Moreover, its librarian may have married a sister of the pianola agent, and so forth. And the fifth example is no better than third class. It is from a wholly unknown farmer who may be in debt to the Union Pacific, or who may be merely bragging about his crop. The short of it is that if names are to be used, they must be big names, not small ones. They must be clean names, not smirched ones. And they must be expert names, not merely the names of unskilled celebrities who have no reason to know the value of the article. When you offer the people a bellwether, pick a good one. The dignity advertisement. This is a solemn, pompous, "my name is enough" sort of advertisement. It is written wholly from the point of view of the advertiser. There is nothing to attract or amuse or prove. The type that is used is often so indistinct that it is well nigh invisible. There is never a catchy headline, usually no headline at all except the name of the firm. There are no explanations. The assumption is that the whole public has known since birth the history of the firm and the absolutely perfect quality of its goods. A very few firms, are entitled to this style of advertisement. When a corporation has lived for 50 years, it has a right to be solemn and dignified. It has the license of age. Also, any firm that has advertised continuously for 10 years has a right to assume that the public knows the main facts of its business and the quality of its goods. But when a young and unknown corporation struts before the public eye in raiment of a dignity advertisement, it makes itself absurd. It is an ass in a lion's skin and fools nobody. Examples of advertisers who habitually use the dignity advertisement and who have a right to use it are Tiffany & Company, 3 generations in business. Bigelow Carpet Company, 75 years. Berry Brothers, 52 years. Mott Iron Works, 84 years. Walter Baker and Company, 132 years. The Mother Goose advertisement. This is the direct opposite of the dignity advertisement. It is usually written in poetry or in dialect. Apparently, it is especially designed for 8-year-old children only. In most cases, it appears in a series of verses, jingling and easy to remember, and which tell the adventures of some imaginary person. It is more frequently seen in streetcars than in magazines, and is especially suited to catch the attention of people who are not in the humor to read. A few of the best-known examples are Spotless Town Jingles, advertising Sapolio; Sunny Jim jingles, advertising Force; Phoebe Snow jingles, advertising Lackawanna Railroad; Boy and Goose pictures, advertising Omega Oil; Locular Jinx of Cornella Kinks, advertising Corn Kinks. A finer species of the Mother Goose advertisement has been appearing recently. Its headline is usually a simple question, such as a little child might ask, and about some trivial matter. But it is very effective. It gives the simplicity of the old-fashioned jingle without any loss of dignity. A very good specimen was an advertisement of the Ladies' Home Journal, announcing an article by Belasco. The headline was, "How Can I Make a Cat Stretch Itself on the Stage Every Night?" The Spellbinder advertisement. This species is constantly used by the best advertisers and the worst. It is used by honest men and by crooks. It is used to sell the best goods and the most worthless. The sign of it is a headline that tells a big fact or a general truth or a maxim of some kind, but which has no direct relation to the goods that are being offered for sale. The headline is always irrelevant. It is always a fine-sounding phrase, true and forcible, but like the flowers that bloom in the spring, it has nothing to do with the case. The faker on the street corner who shouts, "This is the greatest nation in the world," and forthwith proceeds to sell small bottles of water flavored with peppermint to cure toothache, uses the Spellbinder method of advertising. There is no denying that this method is effective. It has sold goods since the dawn of commerce. It will always sell goods as long as the mass of people are illogical and ignorant of the nature of a syllogism. But it is a dangerous and sophisticated type of advertisement. It will not stand analysis. As soon as you take hold of it, it falls to pieces. It is a mere matter of eloquence, without proof or relevancy, and the wonder is that so many advertisers of the highest class persist in using it without taking pains to make it fit the case. Examples: 1/3 of our life is spent in sleep. Ostermore mattresses. 3,000 burglars loose. Savage revolver. Good heating. Quick renting American radiator. Is your appearance worth a postal? Adler clothes. The French peasant is richer than the average American. The New York real estate security. The best security on earth is Earth itself. American Real Estate Company. Numbers eliminate chance. Equitable Life Assurance Society. Quality is economy. Murphy Varnish Company. Don't grow old too fast. Shredded Wheat Company. As anyone can see at a glance, these companies, eminent as they are, have no exclusive right to these headlines. Their competitors might use them just as legitimately. Moreover, there is no good reason why such companies with big facts that belong to them and no one else should be compelled to go to a book of familiar quotations to get headlines. A proper use of the Spellbinder advertisement was shown recently by the American Woolen Company after making this general statement: American men and women are the best dressed individuals in the world. It made a fit use of this general fact by stating, the American Woolen Company has done much to make this possible by furnishing annually more than 50 million yards of cloth at a price that would be impossible on any smaller scale of production. The big fact advertisement. This is one of the most effective types of advertising. It is a type that cannot be used by fakers or get-rich promoters. Like the spellbinder type, it has a big fact as its headline, but a big fact that arises out of its own business. It is a private fact, not a public one. The intent of the big fact advertisement is to impress the public with the size and reliability of a corporation. It does not aim to get immediate trade as much as to lay the basis of confidence. It aims to prove that this particular corporation is the largest of its kind and therefore the most satisfactory to deal with. The public likes to deal at the biggest store. In spite of the prosecution of trust that is now so prevalent, it is undeniably true that the public prefers to deal with a corporation that is 50 years old rather than with a mushroom company that has no history. There is, in all Americans at least, an ineradicable instinct that favors the superlative degree, and it is to this instinct that the big fact style of advertisement appeals. Examples: reproduction of check paid to heir of John M. Carrere for the sum of $116,000, the largest single accident indemnity ever paid, by the Travelers Insurance Company. 84,000 Ingersoll watches, the capacity of the testing room, by Robert H. Ingersoll and Brother. List of 13 royal users of the pianola, by the Aeolian Company. Photo of 360-foot chimney, the highest in America, by Eastman Kodak. Rags consumed annually by 29 mills are equal to 3 times the tonnage displacement of the Mauritania, says American Writing Paper Company. Total assets of $486,109,637.98 made public by Equitable Life Insurance Society. 100,000 of its stoves are now in use, says Kalamazoo Stove Company. 30,000 Yale time locks in American banks, says Yale N-Town Manufacturing Company. A pair of shoes made every second by Hamilton Brown Shoe Company. There is another type of advertisement which is akin to this. It is not as convincing, but often very effective. It is the making of a big claim instead of the announcement of a big fact. For instance, the Quaker Oats Company advertises 3 dishes for 1 cent. The Welsbach Company advertises that its light will burn 5 hours for 1 cent's worth of gas. The Hupp Motor Company asserts that the repair cost of its $750 car amounts to only 25 cents a day, and so forth. These assertions may or may not be true, so they cannot be ranked with facts and figures. End of section 9.